last step to complete your candle project is the finishing step, and this is going to require a skillet. So we have my skillet in front of me and we've warmed it up. It's about 200 degrees. It just takes a few minutes to do that. So make sure that if you're going to step away from your skillet, that you turn your skillet off each and every time. Your skillet can reach a temperature above 400 degrees, so remember, that's above the flash fire point. So keep in mind, you should always be by your skillet if it's on. We're going to start with a nice single pour candle. You can see we've done the pour extra, but there's still a little area here that we need to flatten out. So I'm just going to simply place my candle on the skillet and start to spin it. As I spin it, I can actually see where it's high or where it's low because it wobbles. And spinning is a really great way to do that. You don't want to press super hard on your candle because any kind of pressure will really intensify the heat and melt that side even more. So you just want to do light pressure and spin. So it's micro adjustments rather than macro, because you can always take more wax off, but you can't put it back on. So let's take a look and see how this is. That's great. It's going to create a nice flat base for the candle so that as it sits, it'll be sitting flat and even, and the candle flame will burn and there'll be no leaking. If your candle's uneven, it'll increase the chance that your candle will leak wax. So making sure that it's nice and even helps the burn. So we're definitely going to want to make sure that we have a nice even base to our chunk candle, and this one's spinning nice with no highs and lows, so it looks pretty good. So once again, do a nice clean wipe, and we're going to move to the sides. When you're finishing the side of a candle, you want to make sure that you finish each side the same so that when you burn your candle, it's even on all sides. You can see this one has a really pretty chunk that came out. This chunk's too buried. No matter how much wax I take off, it's going to stay buried. So we're going to move on to the next side and repeat. Once again, I'm still spinning and using very light touches because I don't want to put too much weight on the candle. I want the skillet to do the work. Excellent. Looks good. You can see this candle had some trouble getting the chunks against the side, but they're so close that when you light this candle, the glow through will push that purple to the surface. So if you ever have a candle that's not perfect, once you light it, it'll become beautiful, just like every other candle. There's something about the flame. There you go. We have one more side. Excellent. And now we're going to do the top. To do the top of your candle, you're going to want to create a channel for your wick, digging with your spatula, just a little channel. And this will prevent your candle teetering on the wick when you tip it upside down. Now this is going to require a little bit more pressure than the rest of the candle, so you want to be really quick about it and even. So I'm pressing and spinning. I'm going to use the top. I'm spinning so that the pressure remains the same throughout the whole spin. Oh, how pretty is that? Such an easy, fun way to get your specialty shapes. If you put them on your bottom of a mold, they'll come out on the top of your candle. Really fun and pretty. This candle was actually made by my 8-year-old niece. So you can see kids of all ages can make really fun and beautiful projects. A 10 count can be kind of boring, so you could always do a little ditty and just repeat your ditty over and over and over again. So if I were to have this on the skillet and be slow in my transfer, not get it to the paper fast enough because I'm chatting or not paying attention, it's going to have a really textured look to it, which can actually be kind of fun and be your intended result. But to get this, it's just a slow transition. To avoid this, it's a quick transition from skillet to paper. So let's get rid of that. I just have to do the 4 count and we're good. Sometimes if I'm really close, I'll cheat and put it down for just a couple more seconds to see if I can get that piece of wax off. Looks better. So the final side on this, we're going to do a nice easy 10 count. Excellent. And for this one, I've decided I'm going to leave the top just the way it is because I like it. You don't always have to finish the top. You can leave your tops just the way they come out of the molds if you'd like. It's a choice, it's your kind of preference. So this one I like just the way it is. I'm gonna leave it just the way it is. So finishing isn't just used to complete your projects. Sometimes your candles get knocked over or damaged, and it's a great way to mend them. So you can see this has a little bit of a ding on the bottom, and we are just gonna melt that ding right off. It's about 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch on the bottom of our candle, and we're just gonna melt it away as if it never happened. So the person that knocked over this candle doesn't need to feel very bad. It's going to disappear as if it never happened. And we're not going to say who knocked over the candle. It's a secret. Oh, you can see I've started to wobble. My guess is that I'm sitting on something. So I'm going to check the bottom. Do I have a wick poking out? Nope, it looks nice and clean. There's no wick there. So my guess is that I've just been pressuring a little unevenly. So we're going to put it on and we're going to spin. And I see I'm uneven here, so I do a little pressure, pressure. So it's hard to see because you can't see the pressure that my fingers are using, but it's that light that it's just my fingertips. You never want to press, you're going to get an uneven candle. So just spin and nice little pressure on the side. And you can see we're starting to fix our wobble. Just need a couple more adjustments. And we'll get that wobble out of there. It's coming together. And you can also see as we're removing our wobble, our little dent is disappearing. This candle never had a bruise. Looking good. Excellent. You can use the finishing station if you have chunk candles that you really love and you never want to burn them. You can just use the skillet to freshen them up and keep them nice and bright year after year after year. But keep in mind, every layer you take off will increase the chance of that candle leaking when you light it. Look at that. Gorgeous. Nice flat base. Beautiful. No little ding. And this candle's ready to go back on the shelf and be beautiful just like it was. You can hear that. That usually means there's something on the skillet besides wax, and I'm guessing it's the wick, and it is. So this wick will create a bump that'll prevent me from melting it evenly. So I'm going to dig in and cut that out. I'm going to really get into this wick. I want to dig inside. Let's take a look. Now that should do it. Because remember, I'm going to melt more wax down, so I want to make sure I get a good amount of that little wick out. And you can hear it's gone. Now it's going to sit nice and smooth and be able to spin. A little bit of a high side here. There we go. Now, just because I can't finish the sides doesn't mean I can't finish the top. So let's do the top of this candle, because I think we might have a little present if we do. So I'm going to dig that little trench. And that's going to allow a nice little place for that candle wick to lay flat so that I won't have the same problem I just had on the bottom. Oh, popped out of it. There we go. So I am applying pressure, but I'm going to want to spin and pressure so that eventually the same amount of pressure goes around the candle. Almost there. Now I'm going to take as much as I need to off to get that fun shape to come out. So let's put it back down on the skillet and press and rotate. Keeping your candles flat is tricky, but it's one of the more important things, because if your candles are not flat on the top and on the bottom, it'll really increase the chance of that candle leaking. Oh, we're close, we're close. So when I'm this close, this wax is warm, so I'm going to go in with my fingers, and you can see I'm just pulling that wax off. And that's so I can just get that wax off that little piece right there without melting anymore. I'm just going to melt a tad to fix that little rub mark so you can't see it. This is just a quick little 2-seconder. Get it nice and hot, and then swiping. Oh, that looks good. And then I'm going to reach in and plug my wick up, and I'm ready to rock and roll. I have a great candle ready to go. So we're finishing a chunk candle, and you might be tempted to finish the sides of this candle because it's so soft and the colors are so muted. but it's really not a good idea. It's very difficult to get it perfectly round, and it's very difficult for it not to have visible signs of finishing. So once you finish it, it'll be really obvious that something happened to the exterior of the candle. Does that mean that you can't? No, it just means that you have to be really careful. So if I'm going to be finishing a rounded candle, which I don't recommend if you're just starting, I'm going to rock the candle back and forth just like this, and I'm going to count my rocks, and I'm going to get it moved over to this paper towel really quickly, and you can see I've only done this one piece, but when you look at the top of your candle, you can see it. So I'll have to continue to go around, and obviously the skillet is flat and it's hot, so it's melting a flat edge every second that I'm on the skillet. So it's really difficult to get a perfect candle, and you can really start to see the effects of the finishing on the outside of this candle. Especially if you look at the top, you can see here it's starting to flatten. It's going to be obvious. Additionally, it's going to be really difficult to get rid of all of the wipe marks because you can't wipe an entire surface. It's round. So it's difficult to do it. If you have to, it's a nice thing to play with, but keep in mind your results will vary. Sometimes it won't be so good. So finishing sides on a rounded candle, not really recommended. Is it possible? Anything's possible. That's the best part of candle making.